Debbie?
Along those same lines, the night that there was the 3-2 vote for the city manager's plan, it was suggested by Marty Siminoff that an independent audit be done because of the conflicting information about equipment. It's like the firefighters had complained about the equipment in Brea. Both OCFA and LA County said they wouldn't even use our equipment, but yet city staff and fire management said, oh, equipment's fine. And Marty suggested that an outside, someone without a stake in the answer, do a study to determine where exactly are we on the equipment. And that wasn't agreed to. Would you, I mean, I'm not big on paying consultants,
Sure.
But would you entertain having an independent study?
Well, it seems to me we have 3 studies already. We have OC Fire Authority, we have LA's evaluation, and we have the Brea Fire Department's evaluation, right? So I believe that there's enough expertise within the city as far as bringing in volunteers. You don't have to pay for a study just to have a study. You can have a meeting, pay for donuts and coffee, and go through the 3 professional studies that we already have and review those more extensively. So absolutely it needs to be done.
Tom?
Yeah, I think if most citizens are like me, they don't have a clue on how the redevelopment agency works. However, as you look around the city, you realize it's probably one of the most powerful arsenals that the city council has. Could you, Steve, just briefly kind of explain how a redevelopment works? Where's that money come from?
Sure.
And then how does the city establish a strategic plan that directs the use of that money over, I don't know, a 5-year plan or whatever that window
Sure.
is? Is that,
Sure.
is that a single question?
Yes, it's a good question. Okay, and it'd be a tough question, but I know the subject, right? So it's tax increment money. So essentially, a zone, the city puts a zone. We currently have certain zones within the city, and that tax increment essentially stays local, stays in the local redevelopment agency. Okay, and as the money from that tax increment is reinvested in that zone, in that area, hopefully that is making more tax increment money, and that stays local. Okay, so it is a useful tool, certainly in very blighted areas or areas that need the extra help. Okay, but again, if you keep on using that same tax increment money and every 10 years are redeveloping the same area, which is private property rights goes both ways. We expect you to take care of your own property, okay, once you got it. So it's not, just don't come to the government to continue every 10 years and get another facelift on your building, okay? So that is, it's tax increment money, and it is useful if used properly.
Rick?
I'm going to expand on that and then ask you a question. The tax increments that stay local will go into the city budget. Tax increments that would have normally otherwise gone outside of the RDA would have gone to the state. The argument is that those funds held locally would then have more control at the local level. One of the issues that I see with that is that the funds not going to the state are not put in an educational requirement redistribution plan, which means schools, such as ours, no longer have the tax increment-based revenue that they would have had otherwise. The question is, would you be supportive of reviewing the amount of money that's pulled out of the school system based on the RDA's local capture into the city budget and allocate those funds towards the school? An example of that, Councilman Siminoff did a great job leading this effort with the crossing guards. That's a perfect example where the city steps up, recognizing the shortfall of the school system, which has been contributed to by this whole RDA plan. So would you be supportive of more allocation of city funds into the school system because of the RDA system.
Okay, I would be very supportive of the state ensuring that the schools are properly funded and funded in a different manner, financed in a different manner, so that they don't have to do some of the manipulation that they have to do with their budget. As far as the city goes, absolutely, we've been paying for that crossing guard since Brett Adams passed the 8-year-old that died on Birch Street. We've been paying for that crossing guard since 2006. And when it was pulled away, it was, you know, I heard about it, and I wrote to the paper, Jerry Jackson, I sent him an email on the subject, saying that we definitely should be using city funds to make sure that that continues to happen. Okay, RDA funds can be used in a manner, we can switch some funds around too, so that we can free up money. So yeah, we support it.
I would like to inject or infuse this a little further, if I may. Redevelopment dollars, if I'm not mistaken, we have 3 redevelopment zones, A, B, and C. The redevelopment dollars generated from each zone, if I'm not mistaken, are mandated, they have to go back to that specific zone, and they cannot go outside of that zone. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct. First of all, AB was merged, so AB is essentially all downtown and parts of
Oh,
South
AB
Bray.
was merged, okay.
Yeah, it was merged. And then C is pretty much the school district area and over school district property, the old school, high school property. It is generally used for the zone and in the zone, okay? But it's a public benefit, all right? So, for example, we use redevelopment funds on the sports park because it had a public benefit to the people in the zone. Okay, so there are other uses for it. You can go outside it, you have to justify it, but you certainly can go outside the zone.
A follow-up to that
Yes, sir.
would be redevelopment dollars or dollars that are derived from what the original tax base was when redevelopment was instituted versus the increased valuation of that piece of property. The difference is what generates the dollars, is that correct?
This is the increment,
The
the increment.
incremental increase.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
If those dollars are not used, who judges whether or not those dollars were used appropriately, properly, legally? Who determines that? And what if those dollars are not consumed within the specified period of time? What happens to them?
Okay, well, the city council is responsible. They serve as the redevelopment agency. So they're the ones that are responsible.
Okay.
Okay, what happens to the dollars? That well, generally the dollars are always spent because there's always appears to be new projects to occur. The problem is that the purpose, a good redevelopment agency should put something in place. It should be self-sustaining, and it should be encouraging or even instructing or teaching the business owners how to succeed. And that's a good use of redevelopment dollars as well, to help them be successful, so that we could eventually walk away from that project.
Okay. Let's get back to Milt's second question. Do you feel the following items are a waste of taxpayer funds?
Could I narrow that down?
I would encourage you to do that, yes. We have 10 minutes.
There's 8 items listed there, there's already answered 7 of them.
Good.
The only one left is, would you sell the Brea trolley?
Oh, the Brady trolley. Matter of fact, my wife and I went up to Monterey. She works for Kiwanis Foods, and so I got to tag along to a convention with her. And they 10 years ago, when I was on this council, we went up to Monterey for this League of Cities trip to teach me how to listen to the city manager. Essentially, you know, it was a League of Cities event, and they were touting how they just did this redevelopment up there in Monterey. Well, I was there just this month, and the entire park that 10 years ago that they were showing and highlighting how beautiful this is, it was completely dilapidated. I couldn't believe it. It was right in the marina, right, and they're redoing it again, you know. They have this beautiful trolley up there, as a matter of fact, and we went on this trolley. The trolley is funded by a person who takes you on wine tours and everything, but then when he's not doing wine tours, he's earning money doing the trolley, you know, so he's getting a little bit of money. So the fact that we're spending redevelopment money to take people from essentially the mall to the downtown and downtown to the mall, I don't think that's a good use of our funds, not at all.
I'm right on the same subject. Could it not be redirected to facilitate the movement of seniors within the city to senior centers, to here, to there? What?
Absolutely, absolutely. As a matter of fact, the transportation to the senior center has been cut back significantly. Rick, you know much more than I do about it, but definitely use it. If you're gonna have a trolley, let's fully utilize it and not have it go down this one route that essentially is benefiting the mall and the downtown restaurants. Bring it out and get people to
Yeah, 'cause
the
I've
outlying areas.
audited the trolley and watched it go down Virgil. And I see it going back and forth with nobody on it.
There was a couple questions back here.
Yes, Paul?
Real quick question, on street sweeping, Steve.
Yes.
Every citizen gets a bill every month, and on the bill for water, there's actually a specific fee for street sweeping. So we as citizens pay for our street sweeping. As a candidate, do you feel it's proper for a city manager to want to make income finding people who are already paying for that service?
Yeah. Well, of
By
course.
having street sweeping as fines?
Of course not, absolutely not. One of the things that, I forgot the numbers, but I think it was like $1.3 million we were going to earn from the street sweeping, and it turned out to be like $40,000. Well, how much are we paying the person to go around and write all these tickets? Probably $40,000. Well, where our city goes, it's probably $140,000. But no, they don't get paid that much. You know, these, but anyway, whatever money we've earned on those fines is going just for this person writing the tickets. It's really bad decision making. Okay. Not only that, but I walked over Elm Street neighborhood and I was talking to somebody, and I had these pieces of paper specifically about street sweeping, and the gentleman I was talking to said, "Oh my God, my whole street is upset about this issue." So it is out there. As I'm walking neighborhoods, I'm finding that people are really upset about this thing. It's not about that they got a ticket, okay, or they have to pay a ticket, okay? It's more of the audacity of the city trying to balance their budget off we the people. It's wrong. So I would immediately stop that.
Other question back there? No? Searching around the room. We're nearing D time.
Good.
Closing statement?
Glenn, do you have any?
How about a secondary closing statement?
Okay.
I have some material here. It's a friends and family letter that I'd like to give to each of you. I appreciate it if you read it. And most importantly, it takes money to run a campaign. If you support me, if you could write me a check or any amount would be great. I sure would appreciate it to get my message out. Thank you so much. Thank you for hosting this. All of you, I really do appreciate it. Brave Voices, I love the name. Good one you came up with, and welcome to my world. I've been fighting this battle for 20 years. Thank you.